So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Itzaelic lineage, so then we can understand the time of the end as per Yirmiyahu the prophet. Then we understand the 61st chapter, where then the prophet explained then the returning of the holy cities laid waste for many centuries. So then, during this time of economical crisis, we have then the understanding of Revelation or Galah 20th chapter. So then let's evaluate what then Yohanan is transcribing from the Messiah, because the Messiah is dictating. He is giving directives because of those cities of Asia Minor, those 7 cities, though they were chosen for the time of the autumn feast, then they were in sin. They did not know what to do with it. So then we can understand the factor. There was a time of roughly 100 years of transitional time, where you have the Shaliach Shaul explaining and delegating and explaining the situation, speaking of Ruach HaKodesh, and then the set apart receiving then functions, gathering around, until the first holy city was then set up as per the instruction of Moses. So then you understand the first menorah and the second menorah. You can't have the second menorah without the first menorah. We are speaking of presences, under a presence. Tabernacle, tabernacles, tabernacling. Doesn't make sense in English. Does make sense in the holy language. And the prophet was absolutely precise of every word. The leaders of the time did not understand him. So then, when we understand tabernacling, then we understand what Yohanan then was explaining. We find in the 20th chapter of Revelation or Galah, there are many titles of Nahashatan. He is then described as deceiver, scoundrel. He is described as dragon, precision. He is described as Satan or adversary, and serpent. Each of those, they have a specific understanding. You can't mix them. The holy language of Hebrew, each understanding refers to each understanding. You can't mix them. It's the nature of the language. Let every herb, every animal, every bird, every being, every bug after its kind. You can't mix them. It's the nature. The nature of it is precise and perfect. We come from paganism, pagan nations, pagan language, mixed up the whole works, and then we are beginning to understand what it means. Then our minds, they get seized up because we don't understand the rest of it. Great news, we don't have to understand the rest of it, as long as we are obedient. There are a few objectives we must finish up yet. There is then tabernacling in the land of Cush must be done. If there is war or any other situation over there, the tabernacling must be done. Time of restoration and reduction. Restoration of the holy cities. The first holy city the prophet mentioned. Woe to the land of Sikada, of beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. It's not after the rivers of Ethiopia. After the rivers of Ethiopia, the land is being woed. So must be prior of, where then some of the sons of Ishmael are over there, waiting for then the functions. They want to prove of it, of tabernacling. So then the Ishmaelites can make a decision when they are gathering around with the other nations. Duh! The Ishmaelites are going to make the decisions amongst the nations, but have to have guidelines. Where are they going to get the guidelines? From the second brother. Then you understand the balance. Otherwise, we would be hanged. So then, after 2009, we've shifted ourselves from deceit to the time of the dragon. Try to understand the titles versus then what the angel spoke with Daniel. People would go to and fro, knowledge would increase. What do you understand of knowledge when it increases? Precision. The title of Nahashatan has changed from scoundrel to dragon, precision. Either we have tabernacling or precision. In a world condemned, the dragon rules. Apart from tabernacling, there is no hope. If you had any hope, then it would render the whole works at no use. So then when you read Revelation or Galatians 20th chapter, you have to layer precisely with what Daniel was explaining. People would go to and fro. Then you speak of Nahashatan the deceiver. Knowledge would increase. It was the end of the time of deceit, entering the time of restoration. But then when you enter the time of restoration, you enter the time of the dragon. Then it's precision until the end. So what's the use of any kind of a religion without precision? There is no use. We've got a huge problem with our taxation, mortgages, linking up of banks. We don't understand the references. We don't understand a point where they can be tracked, barely tracked. We've got a problem. And if religion could answer them, we would consider religion, but they don't have any answers. Religion is no relevant or non-relevant. If we would go over there and ask the new Pope, what should we do with our mortgages? Doesn't have a clue. He doesn't know, but he has a link with God. How come he doesn't know? We've got a problem. We have our country linked up with this crazy religious system. They have no answers. Let's go to the dragon. Well, let's explain it. Because some people are going to the devil. No, it's not going to the devil anymore. Devil is deceit. Then we start understanding of the Chinese. We understand the Chinese system. They are linked up with dragon. They are not bad people. But how should we then be linked up with a religious system without answers? We have to have answers. There is no God linked up with any kind of these crazy religions. So let's understand the times and the seasons. Time of restoration. Then the Messiah spoke a time of reduction. Then the Messiah spoke many areas of the time where then the cities would return. And we gotta get our problems solved. As far as taxation, mortgages. Or the Chinese system comes in the next 36 months, then we get halted. Our system, our subsystem gets seized up. The next 36 months is unrelenting tracking. You must track the system, make sure we understand the linkages, and then tax as such. Religion won't help us whatsoever. That's why it was said before many times, there is a system coming and you can't make any claims as far as what you expect from a mortgage system with a variable rate and expecting to be stable. You can only make those claims if you have a stable system. This means production. Try to understand from where the system comes from. Directly from production. As nations, they purchase their products, they have always market going up. That's why it has to be stable. Then they make the investments available for every person on the planet. With a personal computer, it can be done. But then there is a problem with tracking. Nations caught without tracking, they are absolutely gone. So what Daniel said was very precise if you understand what the angel was saying. And at the end of times, first he said close then the understandings until the time of the end. Then people would go to and fro, confusion, 1,000 years of deceit, the Messiah said so many times. Then knowledge would increase at the end of the deceit, then indicating the entrance of the dragon. Because the cities are returning, and then the function of the Nahashatan is persecution of the holy cities. So we are in a period of time of the dragon, but we have not realized yet. We are trying to cling to the deceit. You know, religions, junkies, people claiming they have a relationship with some sort of a God, they don't have any answers. We've got to get our acts together, find out how this mortgage system works with the Bank of China. What is then the viewpoint of China and our U.S. mortgages? How do they view it? Because when the system presents itself in the future, very near future, that's going to be funding flowing over there, and we have no idea. It's not tracked. Because it's based upon production. They don't have those spikes in their markets, go up and go down, go up, go down. The pure Chinese system is based upon production. They produce, they set a price, they purchase, always up. So when you make the person available to make decisions as far as what they decided to invest in those products, what do you have? You have more funding, more flow of funding, and you receive a tiny portion of it. But then if you multiply by 10,000, 100,000, 500,000, then you have, some funding coming. But then this system is linked up with a bank and linked up with a mortgage. How is it going to play out? It's no longer investing in companies. Try to understand the principle. You are invested directly on a product. The mid person is gone. Savings are gone. Checking the bare minimum. The rest of it is invested. We can't cling anymore to those junkies of the past. They don't work. So besides then the tasks that must be done, taxation, production of electricity, it was said many times, via coal, and then revitalization of our industry, and then tracking. We have to track these situations. There is no more deceit. We can't anymore rely with religions and deceit and markets going up and down and so on and so forth. Those are gone. We are during the time of precision, time of the dragon. It doesn't mean it's bad. It means then the world is preparing itself for the autumn feast. So let's try to get this taxation done. Then obviously the mortgage system must have the rules then on paper. Flow of funding, flowing of numbers. Those must be tracked. When those are, then we can track any movement of the Chinese system. At least the government is going to get taxes from. And it is vital during this time because we are earning 6.5 T's and we are spending only Medicare more than 40. We've got to get this taxation system done and then tracking the rest of it. Every time there is a purchase, the government receives taxation in an instant. Absolutely instantaneously. So they can manage the problems over there because it is absolutely despaired. The discrepancy of expenses is absolutely staggering. We can't even count anymore. So religion won't help us. The Pope doesn't know. He doesn't have any link with any kind of a God. Come on, if he doesn't understand the economy, doesn't have the answers, why would we listen to him? What for? What is the reason? Going up and down, sound waves, then deceit. We are no longer in time of deceit.